Yo, what's up, aliens? Ahi here with another Wub Theory podcast. Today I have a very special guest, Dominic from Big Gigantic. We're going to be covering just sort of the story of the evolution of Big Gigantic, how the project got started, also how we met over the years and how we eventually worked together on this song, and how we went on tour together earlier this year. And yeah, we're also going to dive into the project of our new collab called Oh Dang. So I'm excited to show y'all some cool Ableton things that we did inside there. And also he's going to share some fun stories from over the years, like what it's like seeing Skrillex in the studio, just the artistic creative process and a whole lot more. Can't wait for y'all to enjoy this episode. All right, let's get into it. Wub Theory. All right. Yo, what's
What
up,
up?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too, man.
Yeah, so super stoked. We just went on that tour together
Yes, we
earlier
did.
this year,
Yep.
and with Easy Baked and Taboo.
Yep.
And then now we're gonna release a track together.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Love the way it came together. I mean, you kind of brought the song to the table mid-tour, and we get to work on a little bit
Yeah,
on
and we'll,
tour.
we'll we'll be showing some of the Ableton project later in this thing. So first up, I wanted to get into just like a little bit about this, like the journey of Big G and
Yeah.
whatnot. Because like I remember I first saw y'all in 2012 at
Yes.
Lightning in a Bottle.
Yes.
And that's when I think He Who Shall Not Be Named was headlining.
Right.
And
Exactly.
and also that's
Exactly.
where I saw Lucent Dossier for the first time.
Yes.
And I
Yep.
just remember y'all up on stage, and I didn't understand EDM music at all then. I was just like,
Right.
oh, they've got a live drummer and a saxophone. That's sick. I get
Yes.
this. It was like the one act there. I was like, okay, I can understand the music.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, yeah, I've known you for quite some time. I mean, I remember seeing you back in meeting you back in that little backstage area and just
Mm.
kind of rapping about music and what you were doing and all, this vice versa.
I think
And
that was 2016.
maybe that was 16. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, that was
2016, because then I was part of Lucent Dossier.
I see, I see, I see, I see.
Yeah, and
Okay,
then
cool, cool.
and that's when I was like, deep into like working with them, and we were both playing the main stage at Lightning in a Bottle.
Yes, that's correct. That is correct.
And
That is
then I think
correct.
that's how we met, and then yeah, just sort of slowly evolved from there.
Totally.
It's been a long build, but also it's what's so cool is just I don't know, I was going back to some of y'all's discography,
Hmm.
before this, and
Yeah.
it's cool to see like the evolution of sound, because I feel like I don't know, what do you feel like the evolution of like your production process has also like I don't know, I feel like you have grown as a producer
Mhm.
along with like the music of the scene.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I am a saxophonist, like I came from, music school, like jazz, I've lived like several lives, different lives, you know what I mean? And, kind of the first one was, music school, being a music school guy and a saxophone player.
Where'd you go?
I went to Northern Arizona University for my undergrad, and then I did my master's at Manhattan School of Music. So
Okay.
I was it's pretty deep in studying with like people who play with Miles Davis and all these kind of like legendary people, and it was it was a big goal of mine at the time, and it was something I'm obviously super proud of. That I got to do and learned so much about music, and I was really trying to initially when I got after my master's and kind of during my master's stuff, I really was trying to play jazz music. I just wanted to be a jazz saxophonist, and it's just, this was this was like pre-dance. This is like a while ago. I'm a little bit older, so this was like pre-dance music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, and at that point, then I kind of started playing with a funk band and was like, okay, cool. This is cool. This is different for me. This is a little bit more in the like dancing, people,
Got the
playing
drums.
art gigs,
Mhm.
but live band stuff. And that was cool. But then we were also into, I started getting into, I had a friend show me like Bjork for the first time and
Mm.
like some of her first couple records. And I was like, wow, like that really blew my mind because I've never heard anything like that, like electronic sounds like blended into strings and all this different stuff. So that kind of started blowing my mind a little bit. It was always was getting also into like hip hop. So I started getting into like the Dilla stuff. And I was like, okay, wow, this guy's like all on a beat machine, MPC, making this stuff, sampling jazz, which I was really into. So that kind of all started sparking my interest. And when I was playing, so the funk band I was playing with was called the Motet. And I don't know, you may have back in your, back
Yeah,
in the
no, I remember.
pre days, we were touring around and we played all around the country. And so we were like, cool. We were getting into these like, we were coming from the jam band world. We were opening up for like String Cheese, different stuff like that. And so we were like getting into these jam spaces, but we like, we love jazz and we love like soloing, but we wanted to do something different and more special that was more like a group improvise type of a thing. And so we were like, cool, let's get some like synthesizers and different electronic sounding stuff and like just like create a vibe, during these spaces. So that kind of what got me into like the whole thing, and this was like, I don't know, 2006, maybe 7,
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
6, so it wasn't too much, still very like, especially in Colorado, everything was very jam band, the most push like electronic pushing forward sort of music at that time was STS9, Sound
Yeah.
Tribe Sector 9, and they were like, on top of the mountain, they were just like the pinnacle. And then sort of along came Pretty Lights all of a sudden, and that was sort of like a big, and Bass Nectar was around at that time, but wasn't really, um people weren't really into that yet because it was a little too wonky, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying,
The
for
earlier stuff, it wasn't really
2008 and
yeah.
all that stuff.
It was almost like more like break beats kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And but Derek came along and I think really kind of changed a lot of stuff, here around Colorado for a lot of different people. And got a lot of people into like realizing, we can sample, we can take a little bit of the Dilla, we can, what are these like crazy arps that are happening? These things are sick with this bass, and so that was what kind of piqued my interest. And but still, like at this point I had never even owned a computer in my life, you know what I mean? So I'm like, oh, okay, let me get a computer.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I get a computer and I start making beats, but I don't even know how to like where to save my files properly so that, like I have no clue about what hotkeys
It
are.
was
Someone's like
crazy
hotkeys. I'm like, what's hotkeys?
is
You
that
know,
in the grand scheme of things, it's not that long ago.
it's not right.
It's
Yeah,
it's just mind blowing, like the trajectory of electronic music now.
it's
Like
crazy. Yeah,
since like what,
just
like 15 years ago,
yeah, totally. So, all the while I'm trying to even figure out what this computer thing is that I now own, just trying to start making music on it in Ableton. And I had a buddy who was doing a lot of stuff on Ableton. I'd go over to his house and he'd show me stuff and I'd record stuff with him and stuff like that. So, it's just been a constant evolution for me of just like first learning how to even use a computer, then learning how to use like software. I had no idea. I was like writing stuff on piano, like writing out charts for a band,
Yeah.
so a whole different experience. So, the first in all that stuff, our first 2, 3 albums, that was the first 2 or 3 years I just even started working with Ableton. So I was writing songs in a program I didn't even know really how to use, barely.
What were
You
you
know what I
using?
mean? Ableton,
You were
like
using
Ableton
Ableton?
8.
Okay.
Yeah, Ableton 8. And I think it started on an 8 and then, been, just using Ableton the whole time.
Yeah. Because like
But
listening to the earlier stuff, there's like no
builds.
No, yeah, no
You know?
builds, no, like I didn't know what compression was or like how to make things sound
Yeah.
like big or loud. I like met I was like, oh, panning's cool. That's pretty cool. Like
Left to right.
that sounds like pretty hip and stuff like that,
Yeah.
like putting my hi-hats, like I was like, oh, like if a drummer was like playing over here and then I'll put my like hi-hat over there, like
Yeah.
drum set, I
And
was
my
like, that
foot
was
was
like,
far left to right.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, it's just and then learning like massive, back then it was like massive. So
Yeah.
like learning massive, and I just had no understanding of that, and then getting on YouTube and being like, okay, I think I kind of get it. And so just a total evolution in so many ways, even up to just even Brighter Future 2, our last album, and just some of the people that I worked with, Grizz, MZG, those guys, and just being in the studio with those guys and them being like, oh, like this is how I go about doing this, check this out, and going, oh, like it never really clicked, um, getting a certain something by doing a certain thing,
Mm.
and then even watching your videos and working with you on stuff, and just being in a constant state of learning. There's just so many tricks, and everyone does it a different way, and there's so much cool stuff to learn. Now I feel like so much more confident in just having a really good time and creating music, and just knowing how to get what I want, but then still also having the fun feeling of having no idea on some stuff, of like, oh, I want to make that, but I have no idea how to make it. Like, let me like do a deep dive today to figure out like how to do that.
So do you still feel like you're in like a YouTube college?
Always, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
always. Yeah, because there's always like what is that? What is
Yeah.
that thing? You know?
Well, because also the things are always constantly changing, and so it's like
Mhm.
it feels like for like the kind of people that like to never run out of things to learn,
Mhm.
like electronic music production sort of provides like that
Yeah.
deep field of interest.
And just music in general, my saxophone, just all the different things, the piano itself, and just music in general. It's just
Yeah,
such a,
true. I just bought a baby grand piano for like $700 on
yeah,
and just I've been trying to play a little bit every single day just to get back from away from the electronics. And
yeah, yeah,
I feel like I'm too much
yeah,
or
yeah,
like
yeah,
part
yeah.
robot at this point.
Yeah. You're like, enough of the beat boops. I need
Yeah.
to write something like an playing emotional piano song right now.
Yeah, and it's I feel like yeah, it's a constant like just evolution of journey of like how can I express what it is to be alive through these.
Yes. I think at the end of the day, that's like the goal, whether it's like weird sounds, or a beautiful piano thing, or all of it sort of mixed together.
Mm.
We're definitely complex beings, I
Oh
would
yeah.
say.
Uh, when was the first time you think where you you saw like the formula for like a build and a drop and then it like connected to you?
Hmm.
Like it
Probably
could have been a live experience or something like
probably like Skrillex first albums or something, maybe something like that.
so around like 2010, 11, 12,
Yeah, I would say so. I would say so. Yeah.
where you're like, oh, whoa, this format like builds so much tension.
Yes,
The
exactly.
drop comes and you're like, ah,
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know. I remember making like Big Room House in
Oh,
20.
you were making Big Room House. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Nice.
I was making Big Room House, but out of Foley sounds.
Nice. Oh, that's great. That's awesome.
I was in this intentional community called Synchronicity LA
Okay.
in Los Angeles, and like a neighbor would be like using a bandsaw. And so I'd like run out of the house, run down the few houses, and like walk into this person's backyard, like, can I record your bandsaw?
That's amazing.
And like use it in like some
Just
big
field recording, finding everything, field recording.
Yeah, that was like my jam for a long time. And then I guess I came to a point where I was like, I don't want to limit myself in my palette of expression.
Right, right. Yeah. The more the merrier for sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
Now I'm just like, well, I'll just take random stuff off YouTube and put it in
Yeah.
my music.
Yeah. And I'm gonna make a bass sound out of whatever this YouTube baby crying or
Yeah.
whatever.
And I think that's what's crazy is like we really are in an era where there's infinite timbre,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
can be good and bad. You make a
Yeah,
lot of
sure.
bad timbres.
Sure.
I've made plenty of bad timbres.
Yeah.
God. Yeah. And then it's like while I was listening to y'all's music, it's like there's this evolution that it feels like there's this exploratory period in like the early 2000 like 9-10 era where you start to get like the formula of building, and then like there's some like an era of like a few bangers, and then you go back to like songwriting.
Songwriting, yeah,
Like
like Lighter Future
it's
stuff.
it's the yeah, with the brighter future, but particularly that song All of Me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's like just like a good song. So I was
Yeah.
curious, like, what were you going through from like going from like, oh, builds up, drops to like back to songwriting, but in this like more professional, like polished way?
Yeah, I mean that album, I feel like that album has a good mix of like a lot of different stuff. Like um takes some of the more hip hop influenced earlier stuff. I feel like Little Things has a good like sort of trappy but vocal but kind of like trap 808 but horns. I was definitely trying to pull like horns, live instruments, but with like more trap, EDM sort of a thing into a new sound. I was trying to pull that into a sort of a new sound. So I feel like I kind of got there with that album. Like the drops were kind of like horn drops
Mm-hmm.
more than they, like horn line drops and stuff, big but with horns instead.
I feel like the new stuff with Nightmare has a few
Yeah,
songs like that too.
some of that stuff. Yep, for sure. So I think I was kind of going for that. But that when that All of Me song came together, I mean, the way it just came together, I just knew it's our most popular song. And I just kind of knew that that was something special. So, I just went with it.
How
And,
did Logic end up on the track?
I had met one of my buddies was his lighting guy, for a little while, and he came to Denver for a couple nights, and he was like, "You got to come down to meet Bob. He's like a great guy. You guys would get along." Met him, hung out, super cool. We were like hanging out. He was doing the Rubik's cube, like he was like bah, 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 right in front of me, like that's like his thing,
He's
super talent. You could tell he's really talented, super smart guy. So, anyways,
Mhm.
and I played that beat for him. It was just a beat at that point. There wasn't a vocal or anything, and he specifically was like that beat. Let me get on that, and I had after that, I had went out to New York and met up with Roses, and she like, just she came to the studio session, was like, "What do you think about this?" And I was like, "Go record that." It was the first thing out of her mouth. She recorded that real quick, had that, and then just went to Bob with when I was in LA and just played him that, and he just got in the booth, wrote the whole thing, did it all right there that day. And like I said, I feel like I had something special, but it still needed to follow the theme of the album with some kind of drop or a horn drop. I
Mhm.
didn't want it to be too like all of a sudden turn into like some EDM thing, because the song wasn't really that. So, I was just kind of doing what felt right with the album and the music and everything I was writing. So it seemed like that horn line thing was like the way to go. And this, yeah, I don't know, just kind of all came together.
Yeah, it feels like um sometimes the best songs just come out naturally,
Yeah.
in like the first take.
Yeah.
And it seemed like with these vocalists you were working with, like they both happen to have that kind of moment with this track.
Totally. Yeah, you just kind of like do serve the song, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Like for what, the greater good of the song versus like, really trying to push your agenda into it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Well, though it's sort of funny because like you were just talking about how like I'm trying to fit the song into the theme of the album, but then also what's best for the song.
Right.
And it's like sometimes the universe conspires to make both those things just align,
Yeah.
you
It's
know?
like you look at it from this way, but then you're also like looking at it from this way, and then you kind of just keep doing that through. I feel like I do. I feel like you probably do that too. Like as you're making the song, you try to like get different, look at it in different perspectives
Yeah.
as you're creating the song to really, I don't know, just to get it. I don't know, just to have two sort of different opinions on it, but like non-biased opinions. I don't
Yeah,
know.
exactly. I'm always trying to get out of my own way,
Yeah, sure, sure,
you
sure.
know? Because
Yeah.
like it can be one of those things where you hear something so much that you're used to it,
Hmm.
and I don't know, like for me, listening with other people always like I don't know if it's a form of empathy
Hmm. Hmm.
or something, but like when I listen to a song with someone else, it changes how I listen to the song.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know
I
if you
see that.
experience that.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think so. Yeah, it's always good. I think it's good to do that.
Or especially listening with a bunch of people
Yeah.
like live, like
Yeah.
I think that's what's sort of cool about this collab is I'd been testing it out like in an earlier version of it like for like a year or something
Hmm.
like that, like the
Hmm.
first drop or something like that. I'd been
Right.
testing out for a year, and it felt good, and then it felt good over time. And then at some point, I think you and I came to your studio and we were working on actually a house track, I remember.
Yes, the house
And we,
one.
we tried to go somewhere with that, and then it became too complex or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
this one definitely felt real natural the way it all came together.
Yeah. I think we were working on it in the green room.
In the green room
Yeah.
in Michigan, I'm pretty sure
Yeah. Grand
in Grand
Rapids.
Rapids, yeah.
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 Like before I don't know. Yeah, I think it was after had I already gone, or I don't know. I think it was before I was going to go on. And I was like, okay,
I
we're working on this.
honestly Honestly, I think that it was before your set. We
Yeah.
worked on it. You rendered out the new version and
Yeah, that's
went
right.
up and played it. And then I like came out. I was like, yeah.
Yeah. Though I don't know. I think now with the final mastered version, it's just the whole way through. It rocks. I play the whole song
Yeah.
on it, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it's been so much fun.
Yeah. We did this weekend too. We did the whole song
Yeah.
both nights, and I, hit the sax solo and everything in the middle.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that sax solo you sent because I remember you sent like a couple different versions.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then like when you finally sent that last one, I was like, oh, this is
Okay.
the big G one.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
I just feel like it really nailed the song down. It felt like AHEE and Big G then.
Totally, man.
Yeah. But we'll get into like a little bit of the nitty-gritty of those things when we go
Yeah.
over the Ableton project. But one of the other things I was really curious about was you have a family now.
Yeah. Yep.
And how old is your kid?
4.5.
4.5. So
Yeah.
like I don't know. I've just been really interested in how people are able to balance, like those things like with
Yeah.
family life and tour life.
Yeah, it hasn't been too bad, honestly. The first couple years I was around because it was COVID and no one was really doing too much anyways. So that was pretty helpful. But me and my wife have a pretty good back and forth. I just before I had like all the time in the world and could just do work whenever and work late or this and that. And now it's just a little more, I have time every day and I have my time and I just, I gotta just go with that, so that's pretty much how it works. Going out of town, longer tours can be kind of tough. You know, especially now that he's getting a little bit older, he's like, what are you doing? Like you just get up and leave like for 5 days at a time or whatever, and it's just like that's what you do or whatever. And I'm like,
It
kind
sort of
of.
reminds me of old like hunter gatherers, you know, where
Yeah,
you
yeah,
go off and get the
yeah,
food, come
yeah,
back a few days later with the
exactly.
prize.
Yep, yep. But we have a, you know, we have a pretty good, just in general. I mean, Big G does it. We're not on the road a lot, and if we are, it's just for a few days at a time. So we get in a pretty good group. But you know, it's sad a little bit sometimes, you know, leaving the family and stuff like that. But you know, it's great to get out and play music
Yeah.
and you know, see everyone out there on the
Has
road.
he could come to some of your shows?
Yeah, he comes to some of the shows, most of the local stuff,
Yeah,
but
Denver, yeah.
yeah, but he'll come. He comes to Red Rocks. I bring a little shaker up for him so he can get up there and like shake along and
Nice.
do his
Do you
thing.
think he understands like what you're doing or at this point or
Um, kind of, yeah, kind of. I don't think like later on he'll realize more,
yeah.
but 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 yeah, he likes my, like we get in the car and he's like, play this one, play that new one, play that new one. And he really likes, he's like, Dad, like this morning in the car, I'm like, okay, what are we listening to? He's like, I want something really funky. And that doesn't mean funk music. That means really crazy, noisy dubstep. That's what that means. So he's like, I want to hear something really funky. And it can be like kind of dubsteppy or whatever, noisy. Nope, not enough. He wants to hear the craziest, and then he just makes like these like faces like he's like dying or like throwing up or something, and he
Bass
thinks it's,
the bass face.
yeah, bass faces, and he just like loves it. It's like his, that's it. I'm like, okay, like he loves dubstep basically. So
That's so funny. Yeah, I just got a message from a fan yesterday about how every morning their kid asks them to play this one song of mine that's called like Sauce Party
nice.
with Run It. And it's just like, I don't know, it's so cool to just see those messages. Like, my kid just wants to hear this song
Yeah,
every day. And they just get up and do crazy bass face to it. And it's just, I don't
yeah.
know. That's so wild to me because I remember I grew up listening to like Hootie and the Blowfish. Not what you're expecting, right?
Yeah, but that was like on the edge of something at whatever point.
You know,
Maybe not. I don't know.
or you know, I listened to, I guess I don't know what it was. It was like, you know, early like classic rock, you know,
Right, right.
what I got into. And then I think my first music that I ever chose was
Yeah.
Backstreet Boys
Wow.
on cassette tape.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was like a little more into rap music, so I was like, yeah, I was listening to more like rap stuff, and that was like the first stuff I was into, rap and R&B and stuff like that. But I'd listen, you know, I'd get these tapes and then I had to like, you know, I'd kind of turn them up and be listening to them, and I knew where all the cuss words were, so I had to like turn them down so my parents like wouldn't get like pissed. And so I was into that kind of stuff, but then I started getting more into like, you know, all, you know, rock or whatever, alternative music or something when I got into high school. Um, but yeah, anyways, I don't know.
That's so funny. You had to turn it down
Yeah.
when your mom came in. There's like actually a funny explanation of a compressor. Have you and mom's coming in? Do you know this?
Oh no. Uh-uh.
I think how it goes is that it's a description of how compressors work. So the what is it? The attack time is how fast you react to
Yeah.
turning down your music when your mom comes in.
Right.
And then the release is how fast you turn it back up to
Back
the
up.
volume you had.
Yes. That's a pretty good comparison.
Right? You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what that reminded me of.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah. Also, Did you ever do or at college, like you talked about having like studying jazz there. Did you ever have like a teacher or a moment or a class that like really shifted your perspective on music, or that you still
I
think
had
about to this day?
I had a teacher who was really inspiring for me, who was sort of my like director of jazz studies, and I ended up playing show gigs with this guy, jazz gigs with this guy, for the really the 5 years I was in my undergrad, and just I played a lot of music with him. And a lot of my great teachers, they taught me, him included, but just really how to teach yourself, motivate yourself to do stuff. You know what I mean? Was kind of the thing, is like, I could sit here and like tell you stuff all day, but you have to like really be inspired to want to go like learn the stuff and go like transcribe the solo, which would be similar to like writing, like I would transcribe solos back in the day, and then it would become part of my vocabulary, a la we would take a Skrillex drop and like try to mimic the whole drop and everything. And
Mm,
then the next time we would go just start making our own song, we learned all this stuff. And so we would take these principles and they would start naturally just working their way into how we make songs. So, use how you start making a synth, making a bass sound, or how you would do the form of a song. So things like that taught me how to, you know, motivate myself and teach myself how to do stuff,
mm,
basically. And that's, just they left me inspired, and made me want to go learn more about what they were teaching me.
mm.
So, but I had a really killer teacher. He was the bass player he was in the Tonight Show band with Johnny Carson. Uh
Oh, cool.
and for many years, like, this obviously way back. But he was an LA guy, bass player. He was in, like, he did all the Jaws movies and like Star Wars movies. He was in the orchestras for all those. So he was like a big LA guy, but he was a super cool guy. And he just said, just go play, just go like enjoy it, play, be free, learn, keep learning and keep growing. And I just still think about those things today, and they still inspire me,
Go
for sure.
play.
Yeah.
No, I love that. It reminds me, I went to an art school for music as well.
Nice.
It's a place called Cal Arts.
Okay. Yeah.
And one of my teachers there, her name was Susie Allen. She was a experimental underground harpist.
Mm, love it.
Yeah. And so she was also she also taught an astrology class,
Sick.
uh, which was pretty funny. But when one of her classes, we'd have like 15, 20 people in the class, and each person, we'd be in a circle, and we each had to play one note.
Nice.
The next person would play a note, and we'd see how fast we could go around in circles with each playing one
Nice.
note.
Nice. I love that.
Just
I love
like
that.
these really weird, I don't know, almost like free, free jazz. It
Yeah,
was basically
definitely.
just experimental chaos.
Yeah,
But
definitely, man.
I remember the one thing that that sticks with me to this day, that she said during her astrology class. Funny enough, I wasn't that big into it, but I just took it because she was such an inspiring person. I just
Yeah.
wanted to like be around whatever she was teaching. But she said to me that, Chris, you'll always want to do stuff by yourself, but you'll never achieve the things that you want to do unless you work with other people.
Right. Right. Right.
And I think that that actually goes into a much deeper thing in like being a producer and being in the music industry, is that it's never, even if you're a solo producer, it's never just you that's like
Right.
allowing everything to happen. It's
Right.
like
Right. Right.
it's the crew, it's
Yeah.
the promoters, it's the fans,
Hmm.
number
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
And like I was wondering, like, what parts of like the big gigantic project have you seen grow, like, as a team? Like you must have not had like the big team that y'all had during this last tour,
Yeah.
back in 2012 or whatever.
Yeah, we started with lighting guy, sound guy, tour manager, and we've definitely expanded. But really, in the beginning it was just me and Jeremy doing, we'd get up and, right before our set, plug everything in, make sure it was working, like, sound guy, are we good? Okay, cool, and just like hope for the best. And as we got bigger, just able to have people help us out. And my motto with that stuff is really just like, even from our management and booking, I try to just, you know, let everyone do be themselves in their role and just let them expand and grow. I don't like to micromanage too much or stuff like that. I like everyone to, I like think that they're have more expertise in their position. So I like to, like, have a lot of trust in everyone I work with, and let them, you know, grow in their own sort of like position and stuff like that. And hopefully that helps them, enjoy what they're doing, working with us. And we have a great team. I mean, really knowledgeable people, cool people. You were out with
Yeah.
all those guys. Everyone's super cool. We have a great team, and we've had the same team for a while now. I mean, we've gone through, a handful of different groups over, like, 12 11 or 12 years, but that's pretty good. But we got a solid group. And everyone loves hanging out and working with each other, so it's fun, and that makes it fun.
Yeah. How long has this current group been together?
Well, a couple people in and out, but for the most part, sheesh, I would say like 6 or so, 7 years maybe.
Wow. Y'all got a machine.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, great team, super fun.
Oh man. And then so real quick, we got like 2 minutes and then I have to pause it.
Okay,
And then rerun it back again.
cool.
And I'll give us a little bit of a break. But before that, I wanted to know how the gigantic nightmare thing came about, because like
Yeah,
that's like, going from jazz oriented things into EDM, back into songwriting, hip hop, but then like, dude,
yeah,
nightmare,
yeah.
bangers, crushes it.
Yeah, bangers. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, really just all stemmed from us making the one song together. We made the one song together, and I guess that was probably like 2017 or something like that. Maybe 18. Made the song, and then that's when I feel like at some point after that, when people were started like back to back started coming up, and people were like, "Oh, do you want to do like a back to back thing with Nightmare?" We're like, "We're down." Weren't sure exactly how to make that happen.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't just like CDJs and just two people going back to back kind of a thing. So we're like, oh, why don't we mix? So we did one gig like that, and then they just kept coming in. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you do it again? I was like, yeah, you want to do it again? Sure, why not? It's super fun. Tyler's really easy to work with, really nice guy, super talented, and then we started getting so many gigs that it was like, okay, we better like put an EP out now. So that's why, that's what brought us to coming together and putting some songs together for an EP that we were just released.
Awesome. Yeah, it sounds awesome. I'm gonna pause it right here. Oh, hey, we're back.
Oi.
So one of the things I was curious about was, I don't remember when it was, but it was one of the early times that we talked. You mentioned like meeting Skrillex and just seeing him, like how fast he was.
Yeah.
Computer. And I was just wondering like what it was like going from seeing that to like working with like on the Gigantic Nightmare project, and like just having that, uh having that like harder sound now incorporated into the Big Gigantic project.
Yeah, well, so the experience we had with Skrillex was really, really cool, because the way it all sort of first went down is we worked with him on, he was doing the Bonnaroo Super Jam
Oh,
you know, and it was going to be this like, you know, he wanted to be this big thing with all these artists. I mean, we worked with, you know, Thundercat played bass, Michael Eisner from Incubus played guitar, um, Zed even played drums on a song, Mickey Hart from The Dead, Lauryn Hill, ASAP Ferg, Damian Marley, all these people, Craig from The Office came up and even like did a song. All these people, it was this big thing, and you know, so we worked with him for 4 or 5 days, leading, you know, leading up to it, and so that was cool because that was a bit different. But then, because it was like more, you know, music, he was playing guitar and it was a more musical thing. But follow up to that experience, he brought us out on some of his tour, the Recess tour that was right after that.
oh, yeah.
So it'd be like we do the shows, and then we'd like, you know, a bunch of us would go to the studio late night, and he would just get a studio or find a studio and do some work. And like I said, yeah, it was cool, just watching him work because he's just quick. Like
So
one of
wait,
the
would y'all like after the show go to just some random studio in
yeah,
whatever city and just start working on stuff?
yeah, yeah, totally.
Crazy. What,
Yep.
what?
And one of the cool things, well, going back to the Super Jam, I remember was it was like hey, we have an opportunity to maybe get Lauryn Hill to do you know, to like to come out for the Super Jam. Okay, okay, cool. So he's like, all right, so like ready or not, right? Ready or not, here I come, gonna find, you know, and all that. So it was like ready or not, like she wants to hear like what it's gonna be. So he's like, cool, gets his computer out. Yo, give me the acapella, send it over. Okay, send me the acapella, and just get boom, 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 makes the beat, 5 minutes, like puts the acapella on it, renders it out, sends it to his team. They send it to her 20 minutes later. It's like, cool. Lauren loves it. It's happening. It's on. Like, we're going to do it. You know what I mean? And like Lauryn Hill was like sort of at that point, at least notorious for like not pretty finicky and not like wanting to do a lot of different stuff, collab stuff, all that kind of stuff. So it was cool that it all went down. But you know, that kind of quick working on stuff. And then when we go to the studio, I noticed like even if he was doing something like MIDI, you know, he had some MIDI thing and he was like playing it. He would bounce everything to audio. Everything was like audio. And at that point, at least for me, I think I was doing I just kept stuff MIDI. And I don't know if I can't remember if I asked him about it or not. I think I asked him about it and he was like, you know, the thing is that you just make a choice, like bouncing it to audio, you make a choice instead of like having this open-ended thing that you're sitting on. You're moving forward. And that's why he would bounce everything to audio. Cause like, okay, cool. And if not, you just go make something else then if that didn't work, you know, or whatever. But I liked that approach where it's just like, okay, we're just making a conscious choice and we're rolling with it and we're just going to like make the best of it. And that's why he would like bounce stuff to audio. And that was one of the big things I learned with him. And while we never like really made a song together or anything like that, it was more like him just like in the chair, like rocking it. And we're all just like, you know, like, but you know, with Tyler, with Nightmare, you know, we got to, you know, just spend a little more time, and he's great too and quick in the studio and makes, you know, great sounds. And it was cool just like, you know, we just take the best. We're both really easy to work with and very like chill guys. So we just kind of take in the best of what we have and blending it together. And then, you know, just kind of, okay, we'll take that out. We'll keep this, you know, put it together and that kind of thing. But it, you know, it's really easy to make the EP with Nightmare for sure.
Always going for what's best for the song.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
It's so nice to be in a room full of people that have that mentality.
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
then
yeah.
it's not like, oh, let me get on the track. It's like, oh, what if this is right for the track? Oh, it's okay if the thing I made didn't make it on there, you know?
Yeah.
It's about like we're trying to like bring alive this like, you know, it's like a spell in some
Yeah.
sense, you know, and what makes sense for it.
Yeah, the one of the songs on Brighter Future 2 that I made with MZG. I'm sure you know those guys from Denver, right? Well, I've known those guys for a long time, and we made the song Energy for our Brighter Future 2 album, and they came over for the studio session, and they were like, none of us, usually someone has like, hey, I got a demo. What do you think about this one? What do you think about this one? What do you think about this one? All of us were like, we don't have anything. We had nothing. They came over. So they were like, hey, we did this thing with our buddy the other day where we just put the timer on 15 minutes and just round robin, like you get 15 minutes, you get 15, you get 15. And we literally made the whole song that way. And it was just, you just got 15 minutes, you get in there, you're like, okay, and you do what's best for the song. The next person gets up, and we went literally all the way through the whole freaking song. Even like I think we kind of basically even mastered it ourselves.
Wow.
Just by doing that whole process.
In one session?
No, like 4 or 5 sessions. Yeah.
Okay, but the same process in each
Same
session.
process. Yep. Yep.
Okay. That's fun. Especially when there's like, more than 2 people.
Yeah. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yep.
I'm still hoping for the day in which multiple people can work on the same project.
Yeah. It can happen.
Simultaneously without
right.
messing it out.
Right.
In some major way. I've heard rumors that those things exist.
What is that, like through Splice or something like that, or?
That's something like that, but I haven't seen it in action.
Yeah. You could like screen share kind of and then work on it together. No, because
but if there's like 2 mouses in the same project.
Right.
You work on this bridge, I'll work on this drop,
Right. Yeah, that would be sick.
Yeah. Right? Future shit there.
Yeah.
But so like, you're talking about, working with jazz bands, like working with all these other producers, and vocalists and rappers. It really seems like the Big Gigantic Project is this massive collaboration over time.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, nothing in particular genre or stylistically. But just the goal to make really good music, whatever it is. Probably sans like country music, but everything other than that, we're down to throw in on.
Just talk with Taboo.
Yeah, well, we do have a collab with Taboo that's coming out.
Is it country?
It's not country. It's not country.
Oh,
I know.
Yeah, you had the opportunity.
I know. That would have been the one spot to do it, but I'm sure it will feel country when we release it in some way. There'll be like cut off jean shorts, like USA shirts, and like
the Taboo touch.
Yeah, exactly.
A little dirty. But it's so funny. I was just playing in Alaska last month at a bluegrass festival, and I was the only dubstep artist on the lineup. It was like a little intimidating because I didn't know exactly what I should play. But then when I got there, they're like, "Do your thing. We want the bass."
What was the name of the festival?
Salmon Fest.
Salmon Fest, nice.
Apparently Alaska's biggest music festival.
Was that in the park? Like what's the name of the park? The national park, like right by the Salmon Bake was the name of the restaurant?
I don't know. It's like it was like 3-hour drive from Anchorage.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, a really epic, beautiful drive.
Nice.
That was really cool. But when I got there, they were like, please play heavy dubstep. Because like apparently all the kids, since there's not much to do in Alaska, all the kids go out to this thing, they want to hear dance music, but it's all bluegrass. But so they were like, finally someone, and because it looked like the kind of crowd that you'd see, coming to Red Rocks or like some electronic festival.
That's awesome.
Intermixed with people you'd expect at like a bluegrass festival. Well, I remember I played a country rhythm there.
Nice.
I played a bluegrass song that dropped into country rhythm.
They probably lost their minds.
Oh, they went bananas.
You're good.
It was this funny thing where it seemed like they're like, we're included. you know,
Yeah.
because they're like way off in Alaska, and no one had trolled them with that song yet.
Yeah. Yeah. They were waiting for it. You're good at reading the crowd like that. You're like, okay, I got something for you right here.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. There's something, I don't know, as a jazz like improviser, I think you may feel this, you know, there's something to be said. There's like some extra sense that we have
Mhm.
when it comes to engaging with crowds.
Right, right, right.
You know, it's like or I don't know if you've done a DJ set where you just feel something where you're like, oh, the crowd would
Yeah,
feel this thing. And it's like,
yeah,
it's this sort of extra sensory. I don't know if it's on the verge of psychicness. I don't know
yeah,
what that is, but I don't know. I feel like there's some extra sensory thing about DJing.
yeah, yeah, totally. You're like, they need this right now, I think. And you
Or
try
even
to
just a
do it, and you're
solo, like
yeah,
knowing when to solo. It's like that extra sensory thing between you and the other musicians,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
where it's like no one's saying what to do next, but like
yeah.
you know where it's going to go.
I love that. I love that about music.
Mhm.
It's awesome.
Yeah. What do you think that is?
It's like language, it's like talking to someone. It's like, when we talk to like right now, we've been improvising, talking to each other
Yeah.
for like an hour or whatever. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing was really planned, maybe a couple questions, but but music is that way. That's what I love. That's what I loved about jazz. What made me fall in love with jazz is that, by the time I left New York, I was going to sessions over at people's houses, and you just show up with your instrument, get your instrument out, and just play for like 2 hours. No one say anything to anyone. Either you have to say, "Oh, let's play this song and this tempo and this." You just be and just like start playing, and it just let it all happen. And that's the coolest thing is just like talking, musically without saying a word. It's just I love that. It's like speaking another language, and it's so fun to just do that with people who understand the language.
Have you worked with any like artists of like, I don't know, in like the Middle East, India, um,
No,
Africa?
no, no, I haven't.
Uh, I,
But that'd be
I
cool.
studied a lot of that music in college, and so
Nice.
I don't know. I think that there's some similarities between those things and jazz music in the sense of like there's like a structure and a tradition
Hmm.
of being able to improvise within like cycles of structures.
Yes. Yep. That's like jazz. And so, yeah, I played some Afrobeat music when I played with the motet, and that's has some sort of structure, like song structures and stuff like that. And but yeah, I love that. Like having some sort of vague kind of structure or certain way, starting one way, you could either go this way, that way, or that way, depending on like what one person does next. And then the person does something, and then everyone goes like down that way because they like understand that
Yeah.
that's the way it works. That's pretty fun.
Like in have you heard of gamelan?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with
Balinese,
it.
it's from the
Okay.
island of Bali, and
Okay.
there's also music from the island of Java in
Okay.
Indonesia.
Okay.
And I got to study with the Prince of Java
Nice.
um, when he came up, or was it the Prince of Bali? I forgot. His name
Okay.
was Mas Bang Bang.
Okay.
So when we told him what his name meant in English, he was like, "Yeah."
Yeah. That's funny.
And uh just in that music there's like all these like little signals that like the leader who is like in their ensemble, there's like a drummer who's like the leader
Right,
of
right.
everything, and then there's all like they have these like xylophone looking things that you hit with like a looks like a tiny like miner
Okay.
hammer, like if you
Okay.
were like a gnome mining in
Right,
the
right, right.
caves, it looks like that. And you hit these little xylophone things, and when you hit one, as you're about to hit the next one, you silence the one you just hit with your other
Nice.
hand. And so it's this
Nice.
like continual uh cat and mouse kind of game. But the drummer would like do a certain pattern, and then everyone would
Yes.
know at the completion of the next cycle, we would all go into another section, even though we didn't plan it out or anything.
Yeah, that's how so when I was playing with the motet, we would do these like African drum pieces. Or like there would be like African, or they'd do some Brazilian, some sort of drum piece, but there would be all these like different regions drum pieces have, there's a call that means, okay, like when he does this pattern, then you go into like this whole like set of like, hits, and you basically have like a song, but all just like drums. And then when they do the next call, or a new call, you go into the next one. So it's all this like call and response kind of thing. Very cool.
I'd love to see how, I don't know, that's what's so interesting with like electronic music, like dubstep, is that the sounds are so complex and the production behind it is often so polished that it's pretty much near impossible to try to do that stuff live. But
right.
I feel like that's everyone's sort of like goal, is how do you capture the essence of improvisation in production.
Right.
And I feel like nowadays, sort of funny, with rhythm, actually captures that a little bit, especially the rhythm chops.
Right, the chops and the like false drops, and like you can keep going. I mean, you can kind of do that in a DJ set, which is cool. You know what I mean? You can really like if you're sort of like thinking ahead, you can kind of do a little bit more of that improvising, lining up a few different things and dropping into this instead of that, or false drop into that, and chopping that stuff.
I love a good unexpected surprise drop.
Yeah, totally.
That's one of my favorite things to do in my sets, is everyone thinks it's going this way, and then all of a sudden you go that way, but it's done in a quality way. So that way it's exciting. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, that's definitely the new like hot thing happening out there, for sure.
Yeah, I see that a lot. Well, it works.
Yeah, it's good. It's cool. I mean, yeah, because you can't, everyone's expecting build up and then drop on one and all that. So, you gotta do one bar, and then you gotta do 2 bars, then you gotta do 4 bars, then you do like 4, and then another 4.
Then we're just not going to drop at all. And it's just like 2 minutes of fake outs.
Just fake out buildups.
I think Mr. Bill has some edit of that.
That's funny.
Where it's like a minute and a half or 2 minutes of just like pre-drop fake.
He would have made that, or whatever, made a song like that.
Where it's just like, oh, we'll just take this idea to its like most ridiculous limit.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see as production progresses, to see how people really get the essence of improvisation into it. I feel like also, I don't know if you've caught some of like the modern drum and bass coming out of the UK now, like the modern jump up. I feel like has a little bit of that essence in it as well.
We'll see how it like expands,
like a Sota.
Okay.
I don't know if you know Sota.
I don't think so.
So he's got some amazing tracks, but it's it's almost like every 4 bars is like a different song.
Nice.
Or it's like multiple fake outs before the real drop comes in.
Nice.
But I feel like our song does some interesting things like that. Maybe we should get into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, I'm gonna share my screen.
Cool.
Share sound, and then I think I gotta change.
Nice. There it is. Here. Fun kid.
Yeah.
Fun kid.
All right. Hopefully this doesn't blow out your speakers or anything.
That's
fine. All right, here. Let's test out this volume. Did you hear that?
Oh yeah, I can hear that.
Okay, great. Awesome. I guess we'll just like, I don't know, people can go listen to the track. Do we need to play out the whole thing here?
Probably don't need to play out the whole thing, but
yeah. Here, we'll play a little bit of the drop for y'all.
Could do a little bit of the build up into the drop or something.
Yeah, we'll do the best.
Here we go.
All right, and y'all can go listen to the full song.
Yeah.
It'll be
Yeah,
out
yeah.
by the time this recording gets posted. But yeah, I love this part right here.
Here we go.
Oh, yeah, I mean that's what the song's named after.
Yeah.
Part right there. But it's like those fake out little parts that like, you know, are just added in. It makes the song feel alive.
Yeah.
As
Yeah,
opposed to
definitely.
just doing the regular structure the whole way through.
Yep. Definitely feels exciting.
Yeah. One of the things that I wanted to point out in here was so we were working, like we mentioned, like we were working backstage, like in the green room. I think that's when we came up with this part. It had a original like verse part that was like totally different.
In the city and I'm working 63rd.
Yeah, I think we added in these.
Yeah.
And then we were chopping. I think that's sort of like where everything sort of started. Actually, no, I think they started here with the with these chords.
Yeah.
And then from there, we just like, let's build that funky vibe.
Yeah. Like
back
layer
up
it.
into this thing.
Yeah.
And then, oh, I do have to play the solo, which is
Oh yeah.
verse 2. So look at this, a whole group here, Dom sax riff. I love this solo so much, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and I sent you the sax stem. I played that on alto sax, and you doubled it, dropped it down an octave to kind of, you know, to give it a little more meat.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just like
Right there.
yeah, so it wasn't just kind of like too, you know, high endy.
Yeah. What I really like those, like, so the original solo that you sent, yeah, it started something off over here. Let's see. What did this sound like?
Like a little more melody style.
Yeah, it had a little bit more space to it, but
Right.
what I love, this is something I've been loving talking with people about, is pickup notes.
Yeah. Bring
And
it.
with this new solo, you're starting it before the downbeat.
Yeah.
You know, and if, for people that don't know what a pickup note is, it's somebody once told me.
Yeah, just bring it in, you know, like bring it into the downbeat.
Yeah, it's like you know, it's the sum on somebody once told me in Smash Mouth is like the most memorable, you know, pickup note out there. But that's what's really cool about these things is I remember I was listening to a talk, I forgot who it was, but they were talking about Max Martin and how Max Martin, whenever he was coming up with a good melody, he would have certain sections have a pickup note, certain sections start on the one, and certain sections be delayed in when the notes came in.
Yeah.
So that way there was never like too much repetition.
Yeah, you get a little variety in there. Yep.
Yeah. Because like I think the drops they sort of start on the one, and so like having this thing have this pickup note, I don't know,
Yeah, and
make
like the other melody was really bump 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 bump, and this one's like but it's really like it's very rhythmic. It like sort of helps propel the rhythm forward. A lot of like and it's like
Mhm.
kind of
I
makes
love
it
looking at it.
jump forward.
It's there's so much variety in it, and
Yeah.
then just these big Brahms
Yeah.
at the end there, and it
Yeah.
builds up again. But another really cool thing was, we were talking about rendering stuff to audio.
Uh,
I remember I'm trying to find out where it was in here. Was it in the drop one, drop two? Yeah, here it is. Was that I had these
right.
parts that were like
Right.
directly
Very
on the
straight.
downbeats,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh no, it's gotta flow. So you were like, I just remember it was this like tedious moment where I'm like,
Yes.
this is you, man.
Yeah. Yeah, because I felt like all the wubs were very like the beat was like boom, buka, boom, buka, boom, and the wubs were like wah 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 wah, just straight, and they needed to be wah 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 wah
Yeah.
wah,
So
like that. So I
there's all
went
this
in and
like tiny
yeah,
editing in here
yeah.
in the wubs
And
that
I think what I did is I just put it on triplet grid so I could see where the triplets triplet grid,
yeah,
and then I just kind of like moved them over to the middle. I moved like the middle ones. Yeah, like
yeah.
kept the ones on the first and the third the same, and then moved the ones in between so whoop 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 to make it swing a little bit more. And I think that made it
It
that
gave the
definitely
track
kind
so
of
much more life here. Like
yeah.
here we can hear the differences the versus
Yeah.
it's just
Swinging.
subtle details like that that add up over time that like
Yeah.
really create like the liveliness of the track. And also it made it feel again more in the pocket, like we're
Yeah.
jamming, you know?
Groovy. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And I think that's a thing that you disappeared there. I think that's a thing that a lot of newer producers they don't always think about, like because like again, keeping it in MIDI. Oh, sorry. Keeping it in MIDI, you can't edit it like that.
Yeah, you
know?
can't see it, you know.
Yeah.
You can't
It's
like
like, oh
see.
yeah, I could go through and try to do it within the LFO a little
Yeah.
bit, and I have done that, but it's just seeing it here and being able to test it out as you're seeing it and having those
Yeah.
multiple senses is just such it's so much easier to work with. Also, I bet did you go through all these? Yeah, you went through
Yeah.
all
It took me a little while, but not too long.
yeah, I think did I go no, it was I was just
The thing is like not a lot of them were the same. It was like either a different sound or a different figure, because obviously you want to switch it up and make it fresh. So it wasn't like I could just do one, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste.
Yeah.
I had to like do one, do the other one, do the
because
other
like
one.
a lot of the times when I think I have some like you can see I have some automation
Yeah.
on all these things, so that way every single instance of the new sound is doing something slightly different. And that's what I love about studying Skrillex's music, is that
Yeah.
he has this so much in his tracks where like every time he introduces a new sound, it's just slightly different. So that
Yeah.
way it never feels like a robot. It
Yeah.
feels alive. The music
Yeah.
feels alive, even though it's electronic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like there's always something slightly different. And I think those are the tiny details that make a huge difference in the song.
Agreed.
And then, yeah, this isn't the final version because we sent this over to Clint,
Yep.
mastering, and he did such an excellent job on that.
He really did. He really made it sound really clean and just like big and bright and loud.
Yeah, it took me a second to like get used to it though.
Right.
It's like, I don't know, being in my own world with my own things, it's like that's again the importance of working with other people.
Totally.
Is because it's like you never know what it's going to sound like when you're listening to it with someone else.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find some of the. Oh yeah, during that oh dang part, I wanted to show something to people. Was I can't unfreeze it because it would disappear, but it's Vital. I used a lot of Vital in this one, but it's got the AHEE's Fat Magic Rack and then the auto chopper, so it's like a pitch up on this bass sound.
Here we go.
It goes through the auto chopper, which is
Nice.
that it's like auto pan, but with bass cancellation in there. So anyways,
you got some good racks, bro. You got some good racks.
Yeah, go get the racks. They're on my website, aheebase.com/store.
Yeah. I'm a subscriber, bro. I'm a subscriber.
Yeah, you heard it here, y'all. Big G on the racks.
Yeah, what?
Oh yeah, we use the Magic Bass Monsters. This one.
Yeah, I remember you showing me that. This is super cool.
But you know, it works. I think they've got some other like. Oh yeah, there's a little pitch. I love adding just those slight little ticks.
Yeah.
Each one's just a little bit different. And you know, and that's what's so funny about producing electronic music is that the sounds themselves by themselves wouldn't sound right.
Right.
You know, but it's in the context, it's the larger context of everything. Another thing I want to point out was the DOM ads. Is that, man, we just added so much like background stuff,
subtle stuff. Yeah.
You know,
I remember you were telling me, you were like, you were telling me that you were remixing Burning Love.
Yeah.
Our song. And you were like, I love that there's just this background noise of like people talking throughout the whole song, but you never really hear it kind of at the beginning, but that's it. But it's actually through the whole song. And it just adds like a vibe to the whole thing. You're like, we should do that. And I found, it's like, it says Oliver Party Scene. It's just like people like, hey, hey, what's up? And you don't ever hear it throughout the song, but it definitely adds a texture in there for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty low in volume here at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know,
you can definitely hear it.
It feels like you're at a party in the city.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just, I love when music can transport you to a real place.
Yeah.
And so I think that's another big thing that creates vibe at the beginning here. And, you know, there's like, we've got a party, but we've also got
little
sidechain street noise.
Yeah.
You know, because the world is complex.
Yeah.
You know, so we're trying to emulate that real world vibe.
Yeah.
This track. So you can go. I think we'll have a link in the YouTube description of where y'all can go download and listen to this song.
Cool.
And then also I think we had some good fun chopping up these vocals, creating that call and response kind of attitude in here, and building it up. And then also I think there's like just these tiny little like you know, things that like
in the the little scratch.
Yeah. Pickup notes, yo.
Yeah.
Got the pickup notes.
Hit the bar.
Yeah. But yeah, super fun. I loved working on this project.
Yeah, likewise.
And I'm gonna stop sharing. We only got a couple minutes left.
Cool.
But I just it's been cool to go from like 2012 seeing y'all, not understanding what y'all were playing, but being like, oh, hey, they got live instruments. I understand those parts, you know?
Yeah.
Now, like meeting y'all to doing, I think I won second place on the Get On Up remix contest.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that. That's so
really? I think we started talking, I think around then was that I won
maybe I just
second
forgot.
place.
That's funny.
Yeah,
that's so funny.
And And then from there, I think I hit you up sometime around when y'all were doing the Burning Love or
Yeah.
that whole album.
Yeah.
Y'all were doing remixes, and I was like, yo, I'd be down to do another remix.
Yeah.
And then yeah, then we did a tour, and then now
Here we
it's a
are.
collab. So it's been a whole journey, you know.
Definitely, man.
Point, at least for me in my story, you know.
Yes. No, same, man. It's cool to, you know, just have kind of run into you at festivals and whatnot, and then, you know, do the tour. And now I'm super excited about this song. I mean, it's a total banger, and you know, something funky. So it's cool. I'm pumped for this one. And yeah,
I feel like we're in this interesting era where, like, I think the format of rhythm, like the fake drops of rhythm and the just that the whole structure of breaking the structure is working its way into all genres now.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and it's like, you know, I feel like nowadays too, it's not easy to make sort of a mid-tempo, funky kind of banger like this. So you know,
That
not a
people
lot
can
of people,
headbang to.
yeah, you know, not a ton of people are doing it. So I feel like it's cool. It's like unique, kind of a throwback, but you know, definitely looking forward a little bit. So excited.
Yeah, that's what it trips me out, that like people recognize dubstep as a genre, they recognize trap as a genre, house, but then the 100 BPM music is sort of this amorphous like thing still that no one has really given it a name to like define.
Well, it was like glitch hop, right?
Yeah,
And
but
then,
now no
like,
one uses that. They're like,
no one uses
like
that anymore. It's like
Monster Cat glitch hop from 2000.
And there's like mid-tempo, but mid-tempo is more like res kind of stuff. So
I heard someone call it bass hop.
Bass hop. Okay.
I don't know. It's good music.
We'll just call it good music.
Yeah.
We'll just call it bass music.
Well, bass music. All right. Well, hey, Dom, it's been so much fun. Thank you for being on here, and I can't wait for this track to be released.
Likewise, man. Thanks for having me, bud.
All right.
Peace.